President Joe Biden has announced his Supreme Court pick, and it is shockingly good. Shockingly. So he went actually with the most progressive option that he had. This is not normally how Biden operates. This is not normally how Democrats generally operate. They tend to not want to offend conservatives, so they go as conservative as possible, as a Democrat can. But here you have an actual good pick. So, of course, this is to replace Stephen Breyer's seat, who is retiring. So even though this pick is fantastic, it's not going to change the makeup of the court. That said, it's a good pick, and she will be there a long while because she is quite young. So here is his announcement on Twitter saying, "I am proud to announce that I am nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to serve on the Supreme Court. Currently serving on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, she is one of our nation's brightest legal minds and will be an exceptional justice." So Jackson is a Harvard graduate, an accomplished federal judge, a former trial court judge, a former public defender. Both her parents were teachers. And but what matters most to me, and should matter most to most people, is her decisions and how she views the world. So we will get to that. I'll get to some of those decisions and why she is a good choice here. First, just a reminder that she was one of the top 3 potential picks for Biden, at least in terms of the names that were being floated. So Ketanji Brown Jackson, Leandra Kruger, and Michelle Childs. Kruger was a little more in the center somewhere, a little more moderate, a little more conservative than Jackson. Meanwhile, Childs was the absolute conservative choice. This is someone that Clyburn was pushing. And many thought because of that Biden would capitulate to Clyburn and pick Childs, but he did not. He, in fact, picked the right choice. So let's go a little deeper here in terms of how this impacts the court, Jackson's past, and also her recent decisions. So if confirmed, Jackson would become the first Black woman to serve on the court. At 51, she would also be the second youngest justice on the current court. Justice Amy Coney Barrett turned 50 in January, and the first justice since Thurgood Marshall with significant experience as a defense lawyer. A native Washingtonian, Jackson moved to Florida as a young child with her parents, graduates of historically Black colleges and universities who worked as public school teachers. Her father then went to law school, eventually became the chief attorney for the Miami-Dade County School Board. Her mother became an administrator and served as the principal at a public magnet school for 14 years. So a background like this, parents as teachers, usually a good sign that you have someone here who was raised properly in the sense that you have somebody who is grounded, not somebody who's raised around, wealth and, raised by elites, but somebody who actually is grounded in reality and has an upbringing that focuses, as you're going to see, on the livelihood of individuals at large, of society. Now, that isn't to say that if you grow up super wealthy and, privileged, that you can't be that way. But it is a good sign if you have this kind of upbringing where you have school teachers as parents. And that gives you, I think, a little more perspective than, you would otherwise in a different sort of more elite upbringing. But this is where we get to why Jackson is such a great choice. So, quote, "The bench of Black women attorneys with stellar credentials is extremely deep," said Elizabeth Wydra, president of the Liberal Constitutional Accountability Center. But she noted Jackson brings more than just a distinguished judicial record. She has, quote, "an understanding of how the law affects people based on both her professional and lived experiences, and a powerful commitment to equal justice." So this commitment to equal justice, you're going to see in the couple of decisions that I bring up here. And this is, I think this is why Jackson is a fantastic choice. Apart from anything else, it's because she has this commitment to equal justice and, humanity generally. So first here from SCOTUS blog, she told senators during her time as a public defender that she was struck by how little her clients understood about the legal process, despite the obviously serious implications of criminal proceedings for their lives. As a result, Jackson said, as a trial judge, she took extra care to make sure that defendants were aware of what was happening to them and why. Quote, "I think that's really important for our entire justice system because it's only if people understand what they've done, why it's wrong, and what will happen to them if they do it again, that they can really start to rehabilitate," she emphasized. As a public defender, Jackson argued in the D.C. Circuit, including before some of the judges who would later become her colleagues. So this focus on rehabilitation is unfortunately all too rare. Often the focus is on punishment, on simply throwing people in jail, not looking at the underlying conditions of what may bring someone to be where they are today and what can be done to, help rehabilitate them, to improve their lives. But here you have somebody who understands this, is focused on this, and you see this in some of her decisions as well. So this from Vox. Jackson will, this is before she became the nominee. Jackson will likely be a favorite of criminal justice reformers if appointed to the Supreme Court. A former public defender, Jackson served as vice chair of the U.S. Sentencing Commission from 2010 to 2014, a period in which the commission cut sentences significantly for many federal drug offenders. The commission retroactively reduced sentences for many crack cocaine offenses in 2011, allowing 12,000 inmates to seek reduced sentences and making an estimated 1,800 inmates eligible for immediate release. And it cut sentences for most federal drug offenders, including Jackson's last year on the commission. So great job here, helping to reduce sentences for these nonviolent drug offenders. Again, showing that commitment to rehabilitation and human rights. Another decision here where she sides with unions. So in April 2018, Jackson ruled against the Trump administration in a lawsuit brought by federal employee unions challenging 3 of the president's executive orders on the collective bargaining rights of federal workers. The unions argue that the orders exceeded the president's powers and conflicted with both federal labor laws and the employees' constitutional rights. In a 62-page opinion, Jackson ruled for the challengers. She agreed with them both that she had the power to review their claims and that Trump's directives undermined federal employees' right to bargain collectively as protected by federal law. So you have here a couple of decisions showing you this commitment to equal rights and to workers' rights, to criminal justice reform, to equal rights, to workers' rights. I think here we have a fantastic choice by Joe Biden. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, take the win. It could have been a lot worse. He could have easily capitulated to, Clyburn and other conservatives. You also had Lindsey Graham out there trying to claim that that Michelle Childs, Clyburn's choice, was the right pick. So Biden could have easily gave in to that, but he didn't. He went with the correct pick. Now, she has to be confirmed, of course. Manchin, Sinema, are they going to be on board with this? They have said in the past that they are going to support Biden's pick. So that's all they need. If they're honest about that, all Democrats need are those 50 votes in the Senate plus Kamala Harris, and this will be confirmed. And very likely, Ketanji Brown Jackson is going to be the next Supreme Court justice.